Saul Over Soon.
You're slipping Jimmy. Slipping Jimmy with a law degree is like a chimp with a machine gun.
Blow my magic flute.
Money is not beside the point. Money is the point.
That's what a Chicago sunroof is. Now you know.
Saul Over Soon.
It's a real thing. I didn't make it up.
Nobody wants to leave home.
Welcome to Saul Over Soon, a Better Call Saul podcast. I am Jamie G, master of surgical axes, and I am here with my co-host, Magnum Mills. We're going to cover the sixth and final season, one of our favorites, Better Call Saul.
Jamie G, did you just ask me a question? I'm Magnum Mills. Thanks again for checking out Saul Over Soon. If you're not already following us, please follow the YouTube channel, follow the podcast, leave us a rating, leave us a comment, ideally like 5 stars, the good stuff. But hey, if you got something productive criticism, we're here for it. On this episode, we're about to grind out episode 6 of season 6, titled Axe and Grind. And be warned, this is a spoiler podcast. We will be spoiling all episodes of Better Call Saul, all episodes of Breaking Bad, and El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie. Won't do any set leaks, rumors, that kind of thing. But anything that's out there in the media, it's supposed to be out there. Totally fair game.
Your Honor, may it please the court, I'd like to ask Magnum Mills to enter the details of this episode into the official record.
Yep. Thank you, Judge Leghorn. And this is episode 6 of season 6, Better Call Saul, titled Axe and Grind, originally aired May 16th, 2022, directed by Gus fucking Fring. Giancarlo Esposito with his first directing credit on television. He had previously directed 2 movies, but shout out Gus. And written by Avril Lavigne. This is her third written by credit on Saul after Carrot and the Stick and Something Unforgivable. The short plot synopsis is: Kim and Jimmy enlist a knowledgeable contact. Howard scrutinizes Jimmy's business practices.
With all of the details officially entered into the record, it's time to get out our axes and grind away on this penultimate episode of season 6, part 1. Magnum Mills, we learn a little bit in this first scene, don't we?
Now, this is another one where right away, it's going to take you a minute to figure out what's going on. Pretty quickly, though, we see like an old TV with the, you got to change the channel by dialing the knob and everything. So Let's Snow's a while ago. And then we see this young girl. She's got some nice white cats and she's just tapping her foot a mile a minute. So, yep, that's a young Kim Wexler. And we found out that she got caught shoplifting. She stole a little necklace and some earrings joined from a department store. Kim's mom shows up and she seems pissed at Kim, but she manages to talk the manager out of any further action. When they get to the car, we find out that Kim's mom was just putting on an act. She's actually proud that Kim tried to shoplift because she didn't think that she had it in her. She gives Kim a pair of earrings that she stole and tells her to relax because she got away with it. Kim stares out the window as we cut to the opening theme.
Honestly, I thought this was one of the better scenes of the episode. I really enjoyed this because we get to see it, and shout out to the kid actor. I mean, that kid actor really did a great job making me think, damn, that's Kim Wexler. Like, that's a little Kimmy. And we also see kind of Kim's first dabble here on the dark side of the law, right? I mean, this is her first kind of thing where she, and the influence her mother gives her with that, that quote, "I didn't know you had it in you. And hey, kiddo, relax. You got away with it." I mean, it's kind of telling, and it brings this thing together a little bit with her, I won't say obsession, but her passion around the con with Howard Hamlin.
Yeah, and I think we saw both of these two before. I believe it's the same pair, actress and actress from the previous Kim flashback. We all remember season 5, I think, when she had the cello and her mom was like 3 hours late to pick her up and she decided to walk home 3 miles or whatever. And dude, but this actress, she looks, I mean, I really thought for a minute that they just had taken Rhea Seehorn and kind of put some extra hair and makeup on her, and she looked and sounded just like her. So I think both of them did an amazing job of kind of like fitting in with the performance that their older selves are giving. And you do see these earrings. These are the earrings that Kim basically wears all the time. Like, her only real set of earrings is this. You even notice them, especially in that last scene when she's in the car and she makes a U-turn. You can very prominently see that she's wearing these earrings. So this is something that, really stuck with her. It maybe not necessarily her, super villain origin story, but it's definitely something that she thinks about still to this day.
I thought this was a great scene. Great job by Gus Fring being, directing this thing. And everything worked really well here for me. After that, my dude, for maybe the first time in the history of the show, we go to Howard Hamlin's huge, awesome house, dude. Is it a Hamlin mansion? It could be. It's not surprising that Hamlin has an extensive borderline OCD morning routine. We see that he appears to be using the guest bedroom. He spends quite a while making a somewhat complicated coffee beverage, what looked to be maybe a cappuccino, for his wife, Cheryl. When he gives it to her, she just dumps it in her travel mug without even acknowledging the work that he went into it, which happened to be a very cool peace sign in the cream. It's quickly obvious that they're still having problems, which leads Cheryl to attend an upcoming fundraiser by herself. It's also confirmed for us that Hamlin is indeed staying in the separate bedroom. Somewhat surprising, he seems to have kept her informed about the situation with Jimmy, and he warns her that something could happen. If she sees or hears anything, she doesn't have to worry. He is taking care of it.
And you'll probably appreciate this. This is definitely Hamlin caring about his wrinkles and creases. He doesn't put his jacket on, goes, hangs up in his car. Good life pro tip for you. If you have to wear a suit jacket for any amount of time and you can be not wearing it, for instance, while driving, don't. In Casino, Sam Rothstein, Robert De Niro's character, had the same thing, but with pants. So he'd always be sitting behind his desk if no one could see him without the pants on because he didn't want to get the crease in the pants. I wouldn't advise that unless you maybe work from home.
Pro tip there on the business attire: always take that thing off. And you got to give it to Howard Hamlin here, dude. I mean, he's got the blue shirt with the white cufflinks and the white French cuffs and the white collar. And this guy, it's so funny because he wakes up. I thought this was also a really good scene. Just from a directing standpoint, he wakes up. It's like he's living out of a hotel, but not really. He's got like the stand-up closet, right? Not like this big, awesome master closet, walk-in closet. He's got like a stand-up.
He's got a rack. He's got a clothing rack. He's got a rack. Like you see at a hotel.
Yeah, and all of his, he's got all of his dress shirts up there. He does his shit. He gets
color
ready.
Coordinated.
Yep, gets to the car, goes back into the main house, and that's where we see him put all this work in. And dude, it is not. I mean, he could probably quit his day job and become a barista. It's not easy to get those designs in there. You know how many times I go and get a cup of specialty coffee and they can't even give me a flower. They can't even give me a Lucky Charm. They can't give me nothing. It's a blob. I'm like, would you jizz in this? I want an actual thing.
That's what she said.
Always after your Lucky Charms, I'm sure. And this is a tidbit from the Insider podcast. Patrick Fabian, the actor who plays Hamlin, he did that.
He actually did the peace sign. I thought it was really cool, dude. Yeah,
that's why they were able to shoot it kind of so closely or whatever. And they said he didn't have to do it that much. He strikes me that kind of dude, right? He knew he had the scene come up. He's like, all right, he did it at home for like a month.
And at first they're civil. This is a weird situation to be in a relationship or a marriage for sure. But at first they're civil. And I thought they did a really good job at the camera angle here as he's watching that cup of coffee specifically until she just walks over. She gets her travel mug, just pours it in, makes a mess, which after he leaves, the first thing he does after he sighs is grab his paper towel or napkin or whatever and go and clean up the mess after her. So, dude definitely has a little OCD in him, but I thought this was a really good scene. Just, again, we've never gotten this before. We've never gotten this backstory, this interpersonal shit with
him and Cheryl. Right.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing here, doesn't it seem that she basically has all the hand? She's going to the fundraiser. She gets the master bedroom. She's going to dinner with their friends. Like, how sometimes you break up and you get custody of the friends kind of deal? Doesn't it seem like she's got full custody? And Hamlin's just letting her. Like, she just is, I don't know, maybe waiting for him just to give up and just kind of going through the motions. This doesn't strike me as a woman who seems to be interested in reconciling. Then you see how much effort he's putting in. He obviously is trying to put in that work. But to be honest, that look he's given when he sees that little bit of spillage there, it's killing him to not go wipe that up. And you get the idea of how living with a person like that for a long time could be tough. Great. Like the way he cleans the coffee machine, that's absolutely what you should do. But just this is how this man does everything in his life like this. And I think it could just be definitely a little bit tedious, overbearing, and just kind of, stressful for someone else who's trying to live and share space with them. But on the other hand, she's not, free and clear either. He obviously spent a lot of time on that coffee and she's just like, thanks. Doesn't even, appreciate for a minute. That isn't like, oh, I did the K-cup for you.
Right.
That took a bit. That's not like, here's your cereal. That's like, oh, here's your bacon, your eggs, your toast. Like, oh, I made French toast from scratch. He really did it up and she didn't. You think she'd be at least a little bit more grateful. So you kind of get why they're having problems, I think is the point here. They do a really good job in this one scene of laying out pretty much where they are in the relationship, I think, pretty clearly.
Totally agree with that, Magnum Mills. From there, we see Howard Hamlin, and he's heading to meet with his private dick, who's been surveilling Jimmy. Dude is very thorough. He's got pictures of literally everything. Only one thing really stands out. Jimmy went to a bank where he made several cash withdrawals amounting to roughly, if they're counting the stacks right, 20 grand. Hamlin comments that there's no legitimate reason why Jimmy would need that kind of cash.
Boy, this just really occurred to me in the moment, because when you see that board, you can kind of see it behind me. One of those is there's a picture of a camera, and I thought it was just a thing they're setting up with the guy with the mustache. But what if part of it is that they know Saul's being watched, and so that's why they make sure this dude knows that he gets his money. So then that's supposed to be what's in the like in the bribe thing later on or something like that. Just a random thought, because there is a dollar sign there, and I just assumed that they had to pay the actors or something. But maybe it was Saul getting the money was part of the plan. He wanted Hamlin's PI. Who knows? Maybe the PI's in on it. Now I'm starting to, because I'm not sure exactly how they're going to bring this plot together.
A couple quick shout outs before we move on. One, Saul was obviously really happy about Taco Cabeza, and he's going there a lot for lunch, according to this. And two, I did think that the show, and Breaking Bad did a great job of this, but this is not the Breaking Bad podcast. This is Saul Over Soon podcast. So we're going to stick to Saul here. They do a great job of kind of setting the timeline here of, the show taking place in, what is this, the early 2000s?
2004, I think. Yeah.
2004 is what, so, there's no real like boom of like cell phones and tablets and being able to have all this shit digitally. They're actually looking at the pictures here. I think they do a good job. I mean, they still got the flip phones and stuff. Another cool example.
It looks way cooler to have him looking through the pictures than it would be to just, because nowadays what you see, they'd hand them an iPad, and you would just get a screenshot of the iPad and someone like flicking the pictures. I think this is just more visually pleasing. And now even if someone did bring all that, you're like, oh, well, they just brought the picture so they can get the shot of them doing it. It really wouldn't make sense, because the easiest way is to do the iPad thing. But just looks cool, especially when they do some of the wider shots and you see kind of Hamlin's office. It's like the big corner office, the huge floor to ceiling windows, and you can see kind of the long skyline and everything. And just, of course he would have a baller office, right?
He's got to, man. It's his, it's his joint. So no, I thought it was cool. Again, another example of them kind of doing the period accuracy there.
Yeah, it's where he gets his hammer on, dude, because Howard Hamlin is too legit to quit. And in the next scene, we get to see our favorite veterinarian / underworld contact, Dr. Caldera. He's helping Jimmy and Kim out with their play against Hamlin, but it's hard to figure out exactly how. He's given Jimmy something, but we're not sure what. Jimmy says his skin is a little dry, and Dr. Caldera checks Jimmy's eyes. Kimmy eyeballs a vial of something, and she asks him if he used enough. Jimmy asks how it's going to feel, and Caldera tells him that it depends on how used to caffeine he is. He's not going to be tripping balls, but he will feel something like 2 Red Bulls on an empty stomach. It should last an hour or two, and the stuff won't show up on any blood test. Dr. Caldera comments to them he can't wait to be done with all this. He really just wants to be a regular veterinarian because that's what he loves doing. He shows Jimmy and Kim his little black book of underworld contacts. It's written in code, so they can't figure anything out, but we do see several business cards, including one for a certain vacuum cleaner repair shop. Caldera leaves to check on another patient, and Jimmy comments that it's crazy Caldera would walk away from that kind of money he's making. Kim says that he just knows what he wants. Kim then brings Jimmy over to Mirror and shows him that his pupils are dilated.
Yeah, I mean, I laughed my ass off here when he's like, you're not exactly going to be tripping balls, but you will feel something like, I don't know, 2 Red Bulls on an empty stomach. I mean, this is...
Any idea who's going to be taking this? Because they talk about it, is the guy roughly the same size as you? So it's not him. He's just the test candidate, I guess. I'm just not... Are they giving it to the mediator dude? Or I just don't know who they're going to drug, and I just...
Shout out to Saul, though. I mean, Jimmy being willing to kind of like test out the batch here before they dose anybody else. I mean, this is, he's sitting there, he's like, and even Kim's like, do you feel anything? He's like, not really, so I love this. I'm going to be honest with you though, dude. I am biased because anytime the vet shows up, huge fan, big fan. I love the vet. I want more of the vet. He's like this neutral connection to the underworld. And there's so many things that kind of happen through the vet. I mean, that was some of my favorite parts of the earlier seasons. When
Mike used to like borrow dogs to go to see him? And everything.
Mike would have like a goldfish.
Wound up adopting the one and giving it to Kaylee, or rescuing the one and giving it to Kaylee, or whatever. I feel like.
Yes.
Oh, boy, you got me again. Jogged my mind a little bit, because again on the board thing, you see something with BPM, like beats per minute. I'm assuming his heart rate or whatever. Are they going to drug somebody else and try to make them think like they accidentally consumed Hamlin's drugs, like they drugged Cliff Main and make him think somehow like he accidentally drank Hamlin's juiced up coffee or something like that? Or I don't know, it feels like that's what they got to do, right? Kind of like drug somebody who's going to flip out that they're being drugged, but without really drugging them.
The only weird thing is nothing will show up on a drug test. So
Yeah,
if they're
so I
trying
don't
to
quite
stage somebody,
know.
it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just so I have confidence in the writers. They're going to figure this out. Just
Oh,
usually
yeah.
by now with this many pieces, you think we'd be able to, to put the puzzle together, but it feels like we're missing like a big corner piece or something like that. I'm struggling to just put all of this together in a way that seems to make a ton of sense. And obviously we see this black book again in the flash forward in Wine and Roses that we got earlier in the season when Saul's house was being tossed or cleaned out or whatever it was. We saw this book, so he does get it, and that's how he gets the card for Ed, the vacuum cleaner guy, and Mike doesn't know about him. A little bit of nice setup here, but also the big moment where Kim talking about he knows what he wants. Like he just wants to go do what he loves, and she's looking at that board with all the cards and the pictures when she says it, and you get the feeling, right, like she would want that for herself, at least I think so. But then they flip right away to getting excited about Saul's eyes because that's good for the plan or whatever. So I think just setting up again that Kim kind of is going to have to make this choice about what she really wants to do. And it goes back to that cold open with the shoplifting.
I really enjoyed the scene. It starts with the cutest little puppy in the world. And, he's doing his vet thing, wait 15 minutes, make sure everything's okay. And then he goes and you see him walk through kind of the vet office and there's Jimmy and Kim. Just really cool scene. Enjoyed it a lot.
After that, we go to the courthouse where we see Kim defending a client facing drug charges, and she's arguing that he was pulled over on a bullshit pretext. He was pulled over for having an air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror. We're not sure if the defense works, but Cliff Maine was watching and he appears impressed. Cliff asks her how she left things with Howard Hamlin, and Kim has nothing but good things to say about him and HHM. Cliff Maine then asks Kim if she's heard of the Jackson Mercer Foundation. They're an East Coast-based nonprofit which funds justice reform programs. They're going to be expanding out west, and Cliff thinks that Kim would be a great fit for them.
I like watching Kim in court. She's awesome, dude. She's a really good attorney. And, they kind of painted the picture where this dude that she's defending he's dead to rights. There's nothing here, but she has a case. And
she's
she
not
made
wrong.
it.
Yeah.
She's not wrong
this
at
is
all.
How you get pulled over. I've seen Ben. This is what, if they want it nowadays, it's easier. They just say, oh, I thought I saw you on your phone. If you have a phone in your car,
yeah,
that's basically good enough. But back then, your tint is too dark is another one. Your music is too loud. That kind of bullshit. Like, oh, your tires are too big. Again, it's just pointing out, like you said, how good she is at this. And I think it's also cool that we get the idea here that she's going to get this chance on almost pure bullshit. Like the reason she's getting it is because that meeting she had with Cliff Maine, that was just to set up the Jimmy thing. So she just basically made some shit up to get that meeting, and all of a sudden it could really be happening. So that's kind of nuts. And again, you get one more contrast here. You had, obviously Howard Hamlin doing all that stuff to make that coffee. Here you get Cliff Maine and Kim. They're drinking the fucking sludge from the coffee machine at the courthouse, and that was like Noriega's third album, man. It's a little grimy.
Oh, it was definitely grimy as hell. Love the reference there, Magnum Mills. We then see Kim stop by the offices of Saul Goodman and Associates. And we learn that Francesca has been working overtime to spruce the place up. The name is actually on the door. It's not on a piece of paper taped to the door. There are couches and desks and even molding. So much molding. Kim and Francesca have a warm reunion, and Kim heads back into Saul's office. In his office, we see that Jimmy has gathered his old film crew together, and they have an actor who will be impersonating Rand Casimiro, the mediator in the Sandpiper case. We figure out that they're going to be taking photos of him, and Kim helps Jimmy pick the perfect fake mustache. Kim and Jimmy go to the lobby. Kim tells him about the Jackson Mercer Foundation, and Jimmy is beyond excited for her. Kim does have one reservation, though. The date of the big luncheon she's been scheduled to attend is the same day as D-Day. Jimmy says that it doesn't matter, as her presence won't be required. She should absolutely do this. One thing that this show gives me that is a change up and really cool, and something that we didn't really see throughout the Breaking Bad series, and that's true love. And if there's one thing, dude, Jimmy absolutely loves Kim with all of his heart. And you see that kind of over and over again.
I apologize. I thought you were talking about how much Francesca loves molding.
She does love molding. She's got a molding guy.
She's got a guy. He gave her a price. So
she just went with it. Yeah.
She's not just, wasting Jimmy's money willy-nilly. And you were right here when Saul, like when they're talking about getting the job, and he's like, Kim, this is great, right? It's huge. And Kim's like, it's pretty great. And he's like, Kim, this is fantastic. It's legitimately the happiest. I'm trying to remember the last time. I know in the earlier seasons we get a couple of these when they pull off a big thing or whatever, but this was just like genuine joy on Odenkirk's face here. So you really kind of felt it. And it's like Kim almost apprehensive a little bit. Like she's worried if she talks about it, it won't come true or something, or she doesn't even want to think about it. You know, she's just so hesitant to be like, it's pretty great. You know, it's just interesting the way you would think this is like her dream, right?
She is so, but again, it just points out she is laser focused, all in.
Yeah, and you get one
D-Day.
more line that comes back
all
around.
in on D-Day.
Yeah, and that's the line, the D-Day line, when Jimmy's, oh, you don't have to be there. Was Eisenhower there on Omaha Beach? And you hear the Omaha Beach line come back around a little bit later on the episode when they go on their picnic. So again, nice piece of writing there. And shout out Francesca congratulating them on their wedding. It's almost never mentioned on the show. She's like, oh, you registered anywhere? And Kim like laughs. She's like, guess not.
No, pretty low key wedding.
They have everything they need.
They have everything they need, including a kick-ass goldfish. So
yeah, one last thought here, like considering the plot seems to have to do with this mediator, Casimiro. Are they going to get him in trouble?
Yeah, no.
Just a thought, kind of, I'm curious if it was a line that Kim would cross, that this guy's basically innocent, but they need him for the plan. So is she just kind of cool with it? Just something I thought about a little bit, kind of wondering how far Kim's willing to go here. What are our limitations?
I think she's willing to go all the way. And, you know, and
at the end of the episode, I think that's pretty clear. Like she's willing to hear her
talk about Howard. And I think she really meant it. She does owe him everything. He gave her a chance. She came up. Was he a dick and hard on her? Sure. But he paid for her, her law, all this stuff. To hear her talk about that, but then also be willing to not only get even and get what she needs, but I think it's a more sinister thing here where they're going to basically maybe ruin his life a little bit. At least that's the way it's looking, but you got to hand it to him. 6 episodes in, and they have literally kept us in suspense about what the hell this thing is going to be. And every week it gets bigger and bigger, and you just wonder, like, man, what is this con?
I mean, they're referring to it as D-Day, and the post-it note of it is a giant nuclear mushroom cloud type explosion. So
yeah, it's got to be a big deal.
You would think it's going to be. After that, we're out. We're going to take a little stroll. We're going to stroll through the forest, like leaves, bushes, trees. Hello, and we see a man chopping wood. It's Casper, one of Werner Zigzag Ziggler's boys. We see Lalo approach him and he pulls out a gun. That's enough for Casper and he takes the fuck off. Lalo follows him to a barn where Casper gets a drop on him. He smashes Lalo in the midsection with the blunt end of his axe, most likely breaking several of Lalo's ribs. Lalo acts like he's dying, which lures Casper in close enough for Lalo to slash him across the face with a razor blade, full on Peaky Blinders style. Lalo wrestles the axe away from Casper and pretty much amputates Casper's left foot in one chop. Lalo then takes off his belt and gives it to Casper to use as a tourniquet, saying that they need to have a talk. Okay. Oh, and just for the record, this is really the actor dude chopping the wood. Like apparently he worked on that. And I thought that was really good form as someone who's had to chop some wood in his life. Excellent form there.
Yeah, I mean, he makes it look easy, right? I mean, I've chopped wood. It's not that easy, and it doesn't always split perfectly. And like you're right, outstanding form. I love this scene, but I hate one part of it. And so I thought, again, great job of kind of taking us on site, because they don't have to tell us that they're now in Germany, right? We just kind of figure it out as you go along. And
Casper says, hello, and maybe Lalo just says Guten Tag or something like that. Yes. Pretty quick. It's like now that we know Lalo's in Germany, they don't have to like do a welcome to Germany, title card on the screen or something like that.
No, and they didn't even the last time we saw Lalo either. We just heard the German speaking. So this has been really good work on their part. But love that whole scene with this. I love, sees the ruffle in the bush. All of a sudden Lalo appeared. The whole thing, dude, when he had him dead to rights, when he hit him on the blunt end of that axe in the ribs, Tony Dalton's acting here was awesome. I mean, he could barely get words out. I mean, he's mincing and just wheezing. I mean, that literally sounded like somebody who just broke ribs. Like, I mean, that and wind knocked out of him, you name it. The one thing that I don't like about this, there is no way in fucking hell, any day in hell, that you're going to have a broken set of ribs just taking that shot. I don't care if this axe was just fucking sharpened. You are not cutting a dude while laying on the ground and just one-handed swinging an axe. You are not taking a dude and cutting his leg straight off at the shin, like just separating his shin from his foot. It's way too unrealistic. I don't think they needed it. It would have been better to just have a massive cut or the axe like stuck in his foot and he gets up and he like pulls it out or something. That would have been a better effect for me. I think this was overkill, and it was just so far-fetched. There's no way you're going to swing it like that after taking that hit and just completely take off a dude who's standing up at no angle and just completely cut his leg in half. Like, there's just no way.
I'll basically buy that Lalo Salamanca is almost a superhero, but again, or supervillain, I should say probably, but they didn't really need to do it. It's just one of those things. I think, like, again, we said we're going to spoil the shit out of Breaking Bad. So you have 3 seconds to check out. 3, 2, 1. Kind of similar when Gus, after he gets fucking blown up, comes walking out of that room, the Terminator style. He wouldn't have been able to walk away from that, but they wanted the cool visual of it. I think here they just wanted the visual of the leg line there.
Yeah, and the Foley work was great.
Dude, it scared that my ankle still hurts.
Yeah, I love it. And I like the whole, takes off his belt and he's like, tie that thing up. We got to talk. I mean, it was cool, but it's like, man, for me, I would have rather he swings it. It's stuck in the dude's shin. He gets up, he yanks it out, blood squirting everywhere, and then he hands him the thing.
At one point, when they're creeping around the barn, you see these jars of some are giant screws. I'm like, oh, someone's going to take one of those and shove it in someone's neck or eye. I was so expecting those screws to come back around. I was a little disappointed when they never did. I'm like, man, why would you show us like 18-inch crazy, you'd use to build a barn or something like that, just giant. I'm like, oh yeah, someone's going to get fucked up with one of those screws.
Yeah, no, they spared us the torture scene, but we do get the point here. And you called it, last episode when we saw Lalo get into Werner's wife's house and see the little thing, and and then go and it's like, okay, now he has a path to get what he wants. So
yeah, I wouldn't have minded seeing the scene where he figures out how to track down Casper, but just because I would have liked another Lalo scene. I don't think we needed to see it. We know why he's there and how he found them even before he explains it to the dude, but just it would have been cool to get another Lalo scene.
We're back, Magnum Mills. We are back at Saul's office, and all of Francesca's hard work is being destroyed by Saul's waiting clients. Francesca prints out a contract for Saul and asks to have a word with him. They step out into the law office, which is actually the back alley, where we see that our buddy, the toilet, is still around, but he's made it into the dumpster. Saul wants Francesca to pose as the mother of a Sandpiper client so that she can get the password needed to join the mediation session. Saul works his magic and Francesca reluctantly goes along with it, and she successfully gets the password. They go back to Saul's office where they find his client relieving himself into one of Francesca's decorative pieces. Saul asks her to clean it up. Clean up on aisle 6, but Francesca tells him clean it up himself. Cool thing with this, Magnum Mills, in the last scene in between Francesca and Kim in Saul's office, Francesca's telling Kim how excited she is about getting in some water pieces behind her desk. And now the next time we see the office, one of Saul's grimy clients is pissing in the water feature. So thought that was kind of a cool throwback there.
Oh, and dude had to go.
Oh, he was pissing like a racehorse.
And then he started turning around like Saul's like, no, finish what you were doing first. The great physical comedy there. I love that whole bit. And yeah, again, like Saul being, hey, where are you going? Clean up on aisle 9, friends. You clean it up. So that was great. And even the client, you can tell like the contract that Saul's getting there from Francesca, it's for the client who winds up taking the piss. It's all like, oh, if you just sign the dotted line, I'll have you back at the Rusty Bucket by happy hour. Now, I'm a connoisseur of the dive bars. Rusty Bucket is an A+ name for a solid dive bar.
Dude, just saying. I would meet you
nail,
there
Rusty Hammer,
of course,
all Rusty Noun is generally a solid dive bar.
Well, we've had drinks in a Rusty Nail before. You and I both have, but a Rusty Bucket would be right up there with it for sure.
We've been to a Rusty Nail. Is that when you drink out of the nail bowling ball? You do a shot out of that? I don't remember.
Yeah, you've been there. I did like Saul kind of coaxing her along here, like, to whom much is given, much is expected. I mean, he is paying her quite a bit. Like, he's just got this soft approach he doesn't have to hard sell. He just like can kind of charm you into doing it. And it's a real skill that Slippin' Jimmy's has, and I think has had for a long time.
An interesting call out, because that's the second, like that's actually paraphrasing Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much will be required. That's the second time in 2 or 3 episodes that Jimmy / Saul has quoted a Bible verse. So just, I don't remember him doing that a lot before. Just interesting that we've got a couple of them now. And for the record, the passcode is 842159. And Saul writes it on his hand. And just for a minute, I thought the whole con was going to fall apart because he was going to do the sitcom thing where he like sweats or he washes his hand or something, and then he can't read all the numbers.
Well, and especially because he had to clean up.
Yeah,
all
right.
the
Wouldn't
piss
that
and
be
the
the
water
if he
thing.
clean
It
up the
could've gotten
piss and
wet.
then he loses the passcode? Wouldn't that have just been?
Yeah, I thought this was great. And dude, I'm surprised because, man, you ever try to write on your hand? That must have been a high quality pen because it doesn't always go, show up that good. And this is we're seeing Saul now more in his bold colors. This is the first time we see a purple with like a really popping tie. So he's been teetering on it, but he's full blown Saul here in this look. And it's really cool.
After that, we finally get to see our man, Mike. He's at the laundromat above the future Superlab site. He goes into the back room to meet with Tyrus. They have a bit of an argument about the ongoing surveillance. Tyrus wonders why Mike pulled the men off of his own house, but continues to keep them on Alameda Street. Mike says that it's his call, and if Gus has a problem, he knows how to reach him. If Tyrus has a problem, well, he's right here. After the meeting, Mike heads to the Alameda Street location. It's a safe house similar to the one that Gus has, and this one is right across the street from where Kaylee and Stacy live. Mike watches through binoculars as he calls them, and he talks about the stars in the sky with Kaylee. Stacy thinks that he's on some kind of business trip. Eventually, they say good night, and Mike continues to watch out the window. Nice flex by Mike on Tyrus, too. Because you get the idea, right? This isn't Gus saying this. This is Tyrus saying this, isn't it?
Yes.
And Mike sniffs that one up pretty quick.
Oh, dude. And, the boss has a problem. He knows how to reach me. If you have a problem, I'm right here. You got to love Mike, dude.
And Mike's got to be 20 years older than Tyrus, at least, too.
Minimum, bro. He doesn't.
And Tyrus probably has a decent reach on him, too. Probably height and reach.
Yeah,
Mike's
dude.
not maybe weight similar, but Mike's more of a stocky kind of dude. Not, he's just not.
Doesn't matter. I would take out every penny I have in my 401k. I would mortgage the house. You name it. It's all going on Mike, dude. Betting it all on black. Literally with Mike. Dude, you're my guy. Never doubt the Trout. I love the scene, Magnum Mills. It shows the soft side of Mike and what he really cares about. Nothing means more to him than his granddaughter. And he promised himself, and he stays true to this, man, all the way through his eventual, and again, another Breaking Bad spoiler here, 3, 2, 1, all the way until his eventual death in Breaking Bad, which absolutely fucking sucked to watch, by the way. He stays true to his one thing that he promised himself, is that he would do everything he could to be there and be a good influence on his granddaughter, because his son was a great man and he was killed because he was a great man. So I love the complexity of the storyline with Mike. Mike he needs this softening up here, and it makes you root for him even more than you would just because he's awesome at everything. This to me was a great scene. Literally watching her do it. Shout out to Kaylee. She's so cute, has so much fun with Pop. I wanted it to last longer. I'm like, why is the mom like ending it? She only saw two freaking constellations, but this was great. And yeah, right up there for me is one of the top scenes of the episode, if not the top one for me.
You just like it because Mike made a fart joke, but whatever. He's good at everything, even dropping a random fart joke. He can,
dude, a gas joke, not that kind of gas. Pop.
A gas fucking giant, dude. That's our man there. And back at the condo, Jimmy and Kim have just finished eating. They survey the board of Post-it notes that outline their plan against Hamlin. Kim crosses out T-1, leaving D-Day as the only remaining column. Jimmy assures her that they didn't miss anything, and he suggests they go out. Kim asks where, and Jimmy suggests Omaha Beach. We find out that Omaha Beach is having a little bit of a wine picnic just outside the HHM offices. They toast it tomorrow and stare through the window at the conference room where the meeting will take place. I mean, this is pretty straightforward here. The main stuff is you get to see the board again, and there's really 3 stages that seem to have somewhere to go. I'll just run through these quick, and each of them have like a big yellow Post-it note or orange Post-it note at the top, and everything under them I think correlates to that part of the plan. So you have a picture of a camera, and after that, it's just a double question mark, makeup question mark, face buddy question mark, $, picture of the mustache. Obviously, that's mostly to do with the pictures of impersonating the dude with the mustache. And we did bring up maybe that cash is the cash that Saul gets from the bank. That's the only part I don't think we really know. And then the next one over is a picture of an eye. We have BPM question mark, Red Bull question mark, drug trial, and then timing question mark, 25 minutes. So not quite sure what all that means. We did hear the vet tell him it would feel like 2 Red Bulls on an empty stomach. I'm assuming what that is. but that part of the plot's still unclear. And then finally, under the T-1 that Kim just crossed out, you have the picture of a cell phone, the number 1 plus PC 842159. That's that passcode to dial in, HHM, and then delivery how ? So are they going to deliver those pictures? What do they have to deliver? Those are the main takeaways here, I think, in the scene. It's like we have the layout of the plan. I still can't figure out what it is.
Yep. No, and that's why it's so good. I will just say, Magnum Mills, I thought this was so cute as Jimmy wants to take her out and she goes, where? And he says, Omaha Beach. I just thought this was so cute. And then we just see him again. I just love Jimmy and Kim, dude. They're just my favorite forever. I ship them for all of eternity. And then some. They lay out the little blanket, and you just realize they're just out front of HHM. I mean, this was just so great. I don't know, man. I enjoyed that little piece. And again, great work from Gus Fring directing this one.
And bringing back around the board with the Post-it note, and Saul have to assure Jimmy having to assure Kim, we didn't miss anything. Because she's still, I think that's part of her problem, is she can't even think about her Santa Fe meeting or whatever. She's still obsessing over this plan.
Yeah, she needs it to be perfect. And we've seen this before when she had the big car accident and similar, previous seasons where she's so obsessed about getting everything. She's an absolute perfectionist. It's part of why she's so great at what she does. But that's also why her and Jimmy work so well together, because Jimmy can kind of get her to just breathe a little bit. And he admires her, and it comes through so much. Again, can't ship them enough. They're fantastic. The next morning, Magnum Mills, Kim and Jimmy leave the apartment and they go their separate ways. Jimmy heads to a liquor store. In anticipation of the upcoming celebration, he is going to purchase a bottle of Zafiro Anejo. However, as he's about to check out, he sees that Rand Casimiro, yes, the Rand Casimiro, is in the store as well. That wouldn't necessarily be a problem, except for the fact that Casimiro's left arm is in a damn cast and he's wearing a sling. Jimmy panics, leaves the bottle, and heads to his car where he screams, fuck, right before calling Kim. He tells her about Casimiro's arm and says that there's no way that the pictures will work now. You can see his left arm in every single one of them. Jimmy says, look on the bright side. If you hadn't seen Casimiro, really, they would have sunk them if he didn't do that. Now they can pull the plug, live to fight another day. Jimmy implores her to go do her thing in Santa Fe, but Kim says it happens today. We see her cross the median, do a wicked U-turn, and head her ass back to Albuquerque. There was no wrong turn at Albuquerque for Kim.
And at one point, and during this, when they still think it's going to be cool, Saul offers to record D-Day, like when they're walking out, and play it for him later. Like, wouldn't that be some kind of weird foreplay? That ain't no Keith Sweat, man, listening to Howard Hanlon's career go down. But I get a feeling that would kind of do it for Kim better than some Keith Sweat, maybe.
Oh, 100%, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Don't get it twisted over me, right?
Yeah, that's...
dude, I got what you need right here, baby.
This was a big moment, though, right? I mean, and again, we kind of a runner throughout this first part of the final season here. Isn't it weird that Jimmy and Saul has been kind of Jimmy/Saul has been kind of the voice of reason for Kim and speaking with logic, but Kim's just like, oh, hell no. I'm throwing away everything that I have right now because it's happening today. I mean, and she was the one that kind of pushed doing it in the beginning at that first scene over dinner. It's weird to see Jimmy being the one who's kind of like trying to talk her out of it, right? And it happens again here, and she will not have any of it.
I think he understands that this is what she really wants. This Santa Fe thing, like, it's her work in the courtroom, right? This is what not only did she want to do it, she's good at it. It makes her feel good.
Works her ass
just
off
like he
for
wanted to really do. He wants to do the Saul thing. Don't get it twisted. He didn't mind doing the elder law and hustling, but this lets him incorporate the parts of his Slip and Jimmy persona that make him feel like a whole human being. I think it's both sides of him, the Jimmy side and the Saul side, which is the Slip and Jimmy side of Jimmy Miguel. I think he wants Kim to be able, she can have the pure thing, and she's so good. I think he recognizes that. He's never kidded himself that he's the world's greatest lawyer or anything, but he really thinks she could be. I don't think he wants to also have that on him. If she doesn't become that, he doesn't want to be the reason, right? He loves her too much to be the reason that she gets held back. Yes. And again, this was her deal. The Hamlin thing was on her. they'll get the money eventually. It was just a matter of getting it faster. And after he got that other money, what does he even really need it that much faster for at this point? He's doing this all for Kim.
Yeah. 100%.
And one more nice callback.
And it brings them together, though. I mean, it's a thing that they do
I
together.
love them hustling together. I think that's some of the best scenes of the show are definitely them when they have to work together. Yep. One more nice callback is when he calls her and he tells her there's a problem, and you see her kind of being like, oh fuck. And he's like, wait, don't, it's that before you ask, he didn't shave his mustache, he broke his arm. Nice callback to remember when she was like, well, what if he shaves? And he's like, that's a lot of grooming. That's a couple years of grooming. He's not going to shave it. So I do like that even in this super tense moment, you got that little gag in there. Definitely made me laugh.
Oh, that's great. I mean, dude, with those handlebars, you don't just shave that, bro. That's a full-blown commitment. You know it. I know it. Everybody.
Oh, and shout out that actor who is playing the double guy is actually it's John Ennis. He was from Mr. Show originally. So.
Oh, nice. Look at Odenkirk bringing back the old fam, dude. Love that.
He's like
love
the
that.
actor who's playing him that we see or whatever, not the actual Castanero guy, but the actual actor we see with the fake mustache and whatnot.
Well, Magnum Mills, right up to the very end of this episode, we have pieces, we have clues, but I still have no idea in hell what exactly this is. And I love that.
I mean, I don't know. It's probably unintentional, but we do see Kim and Jimmy on a grassy knoll, like doing some conspiracy type shit. So what are they trying to say, dude? I mean, did Saul Goodman kill Kennedy? Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, back and to the left. Back and to the left.
Saul Goodman. That's it, buddy. So that's the episode. I mean, that you know what that means. That means it's time for Mike's Always Right. Pretty simple here, folks. We examine the actions of one Mr. Mike Ehrmantraut in this episode, and we ask one simple question. Was Mike right?
This is cakewalk here. Mike really, really does not get a lot to do. He calls Tyrus out of his bullshit, easy peasy, and he's going out of his way to protect Stacey and Kaylee. He even pulled guys off his own house to make sure they're covered. On top of that, he managed to sneak in some quality stargazing time with Kaylee, and he cracks a fart joke. As usual, I want to be like Mike. Never
doubt Ehrmantraut. Not even once. Don't do it, Magnum Mills. Never doubt the Ehrmantraut.
Never, ever, 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 ever. Jamie G, we actually had finally a little bit of courtroom action this week. And, Kim does something interesting here. It's not quite the Chewbacca defense, but we saw her utilize the air freshener defense. What's the craziest defense that you've ever offered on behalf of one of your clients?
Well, I've once pretended to have amnesia for 3 years just to get out of a parking ticket.
Dude, for a client, the craziest thing.
Craziest. Let me see. Okay. There was this one case where my client was accused of some pretty serious shit, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I just told the judge that he should let my client off because he has a terrible attorney.
And that worked?
Oh, fuck no. I saw the prosecutor out at the Applebee bar later that morning. He just laughed at me.
If you don't mind me asking, how the fuck do you keep getting clients?
Liar.
The fuck you mean liar?
It's like Tinder for lawyers. We put out pictures and prices up there, and clients put up their pictures and details. And if we swipe right on each other, we're in business, baby. In like Flint.
Yeah, if I didn't know better, I would just say you're ambulance chasing on Tinder.
I'm going to go ahead and take a fifth on that one.
You mean that you're going to plead the fifth?
Whatever.
Once again, dude, I don't even know how to follow that up, man. I guess you really might be a lawyer. Just fuck it. Let's switch gears. Jamie G, what was your favorite quote or line from this episode?
For me, Magnum Mills, I am going with the scene where Saul and Kim are talking. Kim is rushing to him and telling him that, gosh, she's got this opportunity with the foundation. And, he's just so excited. And then she's kind of like, but it's on D-Day. And he looks at her and he goes, so was Eisenhower on Omaha Beach? No. I mean, just a great scene. And he's so happy for Kim, so proud of her, knows she'll be perfect for it. And he's willing to kind of handle everything on his own so she can do that. I just love that scene. And we kind of get Omaha Beach throughout the episode here a couple times. So for me, that was my favorite line.
Nice.
What are you going with, Magnum Mills?
Nice. And I like, it's a little bit of an exchange between Dr. Caldera, the vet, and Kim. And it's him talking about wanting to go away and just do the vet thing full time. And he says, anyway, a guy's got to know when he's bagged his limit. You know, a hot second later, you hear Kim refer to that kind of saying him, well, he knows what he wants. And I think that's the kind of the big theme of this episode here is Kim Wexler trying to figure out what she really wants. So I think that one really hit home for me. That brings us to our favorite scene or moment for the episode. I hate to do it, but I'm going to double up a little bit on what you did, because my favorite scene is when they're at Saul's office there and they go out in the lobby and Kim tells Jimmy about the opportunity and he's so happy for her and everything. Not going to rehash everything you said. I thought it was just a pure moment of joy, especially on Saul's part, on Jimmy's part there. And it was just very heartwarming and also a little bit scary, because I really want Kim to do this. And,
yeah,
you know, we all just want what's best for you, Kim, I swear.
Yeah, no, we love you, Kim Wexler. We want you to succeed and just be who you're supposed to be. For me, Magnum Mills, I'm going with the scene with we get, you know, Mike's scene, and it's kind of a two-parter here. I like to see him come in. He's got the coffee. He's giving it to his guys, and then he starts, you know, Tyrus starts in on his ass, and you know he kind of puts him in his place a little bit, and he tells him the men stay on Amaretto Drive, and you know he's serious about this, and then we kind of see that that's where Kaylee and Stacy live. And I thought this was just such a great scene with Mike kind of out the window, you know, looking through the blinds on the cell phone, doing his grandpa thing. This guy is, you know, the right-hand man for, I mean, Gus Fring for help, you know, I mean, this is like, he's got a serious job, dude. He's like the best security guy you could ever hire for anything ever. And he can handle anything. And he's so hard and tough. But this shows a lighter side to Mike, one of my favorite characters throughout the entire franchise of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, you name it. If they did a spinoff with just Mike Ehrmantraut, I'm watching it and I'm pumped for it. And we're probably doing a podcast about it. That's how much we love him. This was a great scene for me. And in honor of one of our favorite characters,
Nacho Man. I want to be a Nacho Man.
It's time to choose our nacho man or woman of the week. Mills, who is your nacho man, your MVP of this episode? Axe and grind.
Minor disclaimer, if you could tell me that the vet, Dr. Caldera, sells the black book and gets out to do his thing, it would be him. But if he dies, probably not so much so. So I would say he would be a contingent one. I reserve the right, if we see him get out safely and sell that book to Jimmy, he'd be my guy. If not, I probably have to give it to Lalo, because he survived a blunt part of the axe to the chest. And then, like you said, impossibly chopped a dude's leg off in an episode where no one got a lot of wins. Lalo got what he wanted, and no one else really got what they wanted. I think Francesca was close, but then when that dude took the piss on her thing, took a little bit of the steam out of her sails there. So I got to go with Lalo as my nacho man of the week. Jamie G, put some cheese on these nachos.
For me, I really struggled this week trying to pick out my nacho man or woman, because nobody really gets the edge here. I'm doing something totally crazy here, bro. I'm going with Cheryl. I'm going with Howard Hamlin's wife, Cheryl Hamlin. She has all the hands. She's living in that huge house by herself. He's living out in the guest house. She's, you know, got the rule of the roost. She's living high on the hog. She kept the friend. She's going to the fundraiser. She doesn't even give a shit about his peace sign cappuccino he made her, which is really impressive. She's a boss here, dude. She's got all the hand. He's just kind of stuck, just kind of like a puppy dog, you know, with his tail behind his legs. Like, how can I make you love me again? And it's sad for Howard, but Cheryl has the hand. She had that one scene. It's probably the only time we'll ever see her. Maybe it's the only time we've seen her so far. For me, in an episode that didn't give me a lot to choose from, I'm going Cheryl Hamlin.
I have no problem with your logic. Just I'll bet you $10 that Cheryl's using her maiden name right now. You want to bet me? She's not Cheryl Hamlin. She's using her maiden name. I'll bet you $10 right now.
And if nothing else, she's hyphen Hamlin. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, she was probably hyphen to begin with, I'm feeling.
She probably was hyphen Hamlin to begin with.
But I'm feeling now she is completely using her maiden name. I think this is one of the cases where, you know, they can get the divorce whenever Hamlin's willing to sign the papers kind of deal, something like that.
Oh, yeah. And she's waiting.
Yeah, that brings us to the portion of the episode where it's time to get out of the courtroom into the classroom. We're going to put a grade in this episode, and we're going to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10 of Marco's pinky rings, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best at pinky ring shit. Jamie G, how many pinky rings are you giving to Axe and Grind?
Yeah, look, I thought this was a good episode. Not a ton happens. It's mostly just, for a penultimate episode, you kind of wait for like a big thing. There wasn't really a big thing. I mean, but we got a lot, and it set up all the pieces just so that the next episode is going to be an absolute monster. I'm talking a beast of the east. This thing is going to be big time. I love how they set it up. I thought the directing from Gus Fring was outstanding. Even though, we didn't get a ton here, it worked. I'm giving this thing a solid 7.5 pinky rings for me. It was good, but there just wasn't a ton, but I liked it and it kept me into it the whole time, even though it seemed like not a lot really happened here. But what did happen was substantial in terms of moving along the plot and the story and setting it up for next week.
I'm more or less with you there. This was all about getting everything in place literally next week is D-Day. The big explosion. You're setting up all of the conflicts. You could have maybe gotten one out of the way, like done the Lalo and Gus thing this week, giving things a little bit room to breathe next week. Seems like they're going for it. I do think that Kim making this decision at the end is a big deal. So I'm going to bump it up a bit. I was kind of where you were in that mid-7s range. I'm going to give it a solid 8.0 flat pinky rings because there's nothing I've disliked in the episode. There's just not at a rewatchability scale. The only main thing that happens here, I think, is Kim making that decision at the end. And obviously maybe just the plot point of us finding out that the dude broke his arm and whatnot. So a little bit of not an inconsequential episode, but just more of a quiet, contemplative, all right, just a calm before the storm episode. So I think 8 pinky rings is pretty fair.
Pick your ring shit.
All right, and before we get out of here, let's do, there's only one episode left in part 1 all of a sudden, which is, that's just nuts on its own. Little, maybe some educated guesses or wild speculation, whatever's more fun. Quick one here, Jamie, we talked about a little bit. Dr. Caldera, the vet, never seen him in Breaking Bad. Do you think he actually gets to sell the book and leaves town, or does he die?
I think he sells the book and leaves town, and I think Jimmy makes a proposition to him that he can't refuse. With the money that they get from this whole Sandpiper thing, he gets it, he leaves, and that's it.
I want to agree with you, and especially because I'm especially a dog lover, but love pets and animals in general. So this dude seems to love him, would like him to be able to get out, live his best life, be in the vet. I think that would be cool. How about the dude Casper who lost his leg? Is Lalo just going to question and kill him, or do you think he needs to keep him alive for some reason? Is like real proof or something?
I think that he's going to get what he needs and kills him. I don't know. The thought of keeping somebody alive who's an amputee situation, that belt is only going to hold for so long, and that thing's going to get infected. He's dead. I don't see him keeping him.
That means Lalo's got to go further then, right? Because he still needs to have proof to bring to Don Eladio that the Salamanca should be in charge because Gus Fring is lying to him. And so is the word of this one guy isn't going to do it, right? So this means that he's going to need to get something from Casper to move up another link in the chain. I just don't know what else there is to find, I guess, other than the exact location.
The exact
maybe
location
that sets
of
up
the
that
thing.
showdown. So speaking of that, do you think that we get that then? We saw Gus plant the gun there in the super lab. Do you think we get some sort of showdown there next episode?
I don't think the Lalo Gus thing is resolved until the back half. At first, if you would ask me that question a couple of weeks ago, I said, this son of a bitch is coming to a head in this first part here on the first 7 episodes, but I don't think it is, bro. I think that bleeds over into the next part 2 of this final season.
So do you think we get any major deaths next episode here in the kind of mid-season finale?
I don't.
No major deaths. How about the Hamlin con? Do we see the result of it, or do we end on kind of a cliffhanger where we don't know if it works or not? I think we definitively find out if it works or not.
We get the D-Day plot, we get the Hamlin con, but we are going to end on a cliffhanger. That cliffhanger could involve Gus Fring, it could involve Lalo, it could involve Kim, but I think we get this plot no matter what. I think this plot comes to a full.
And when we go back to that flash forward from Breaking Bad, we got Saul's house being cleaned out. We see that bottle topper, the one for the Zafiro Anejo. Do you think that that's from that original bottle from, I think it was episode 1 of season 2? Or do you think that we saw Saul go to get one here? Do you think that they get another bottle of this before the end of it all?
That's a great question, Magnum Mills. I'm going to say that they, man, I don't know. I can make a case either way, buddy. I'm going to flip a coin here, and I'm going to say we do not get it. I'm going to say that we do not get it. It doesn't end happily with them celebrating, even if they think it was a success. I think the the bottle stopper he has is the original one when they did their first con together.
Oh,
when he still just loved her, but it wasn't her husband yet.
damn, that's a damn shame. It was the last bottle they had in the store too. So
I know.
I mean, anything else? I'm trying to go through here. I think we've hit most of the high points here. I'll say so. All right, you don't think we get the showdown? Do you think Lalo makes it back to Albuquerque next episode?
I think so. I think
I'm
he's
leaning,
at
yeah, I
least
think he
back
makes
in the
it back.
States. He's back in the States next episode for sure. He's been on a European tour here. I think he's back in the States next episode.
Yeah, I'm with that. And I think somehow he makes his way into Saul's office there, whether he's noticed or not. And like he has a little scene with Francesca. Like Saul's not there and he's trying to figure out what the deal is. Like, oh, this is Saul Goodman, and see him being real charming to her and stuff. I don't know. For some reason, I can just see the Lalo Francesca scene in my head. So I want to call that one out.
I think that's about it. I mean, I guess one thing here, do you think we get any of the Breaking Bad characters in this final episode here, part one of the final season?
I have to think no. They seem to have a lot to do. I don't think this is a 90-minute episode or something like that. I would imagine that they have to keep that for the second part at this point. It feels like they're already going to end on some kind of cliffhanger. It might be too much to mix all that in. I think I'd rather save it and let it make an impact somewhere else.
Well, I think that about wraps it up, Magnum Mills. What is on tap for Saul Over Soon? Coming up next.
We'll be covering episode 7 of season 6 titled Plan and Execution, which will air May 23rd. The short plot synopsis is Jimmy and Kim deal with a last-minute snag in their plan. That's it. The Saul Over Soon episode covering Plan and Execution will drop on Wednesday, May 25th.
I can't believe that we're almost through part 1 of the final season already. I mean, it just literally feels like it just started. Thank you guys again so much for checking us out right here on the Saul Over Soon podcast. We really appreciate it. Please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube or rate and comment on your podcast app. Not even and do both, baby. Helps us out a ton. We really appreciate it. Mills, tell these fine people where they can find all of our content that happens to be free.
1 into the 2, 2 into the 3. Everything is free. Free into the 4. Thanks again for checking us out. We are the Saul Over Soon podcast. If you're not already subscribed, find us on your favorite podcast platform at Saul Over Soon. Same thing on social media. You can send your feedback to sauloversoon@gmail.com. We're from the Joe Blow Football Show, who you can find at joeblowfootballshow.com and on social media at Joe Blow Show. We're just wrapping up our coverage of the show Ozark from Netflix. We're the Ozark Podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform and on social media at Ozark Podcast. We are continuing to cover Barry from HBO. We're the Barry Podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform and on social media at Barry Podcast. We just wrapped up, but it's about to drop on Netflix, Peaky Blinders on PBP, a Peaky Blinders podcast. And you can find us on social media at Peaky Podcast. And we can't stop, won't stop covering It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We are the Night Pod Cometh. Find us at Night Pod Cometh on your favorite podcast platform and on social media. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. And please remember to buckle up, because you're in the game now.
It's Saul Over Soon. We'll see you next week to cover Plan and Execution. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, there's nothing foreboding about the name Plan and Execution. This has been Saul Over Soon, a Better Call Saul podcast. This show is for entertainment purposes only. We are in no way affiliated with Better Call Saul, AMC, Sony Pictures Television, Netflix, or any other production company or association. The views here are those of the hosts only and do not represent any other entity. Thanks again for checking us out, and stay tuned because it's Saul Over Soon. Well, that's pretty obvious, right? What do you think they're going to do next week? Maybe execute the plan? I don't know.
It's a solid guess.